Well, I think that I was very fortunate. And I think the reason for that was the fact that I was recruited by a great coach, Vic Bubas. Bucky Waters was part of that. And then later on, a guy by the name of Chuck Daly and Hubie Brown were a part of the coaching aspect of it. But the teamwork part of it was unusual because we had a lot of great, talented players. But they were smart in the regard that they were willing to work together. They would give up one of their shots to a teammate who had a better shot because their teammate was darn good too. And they weren't really giving up anything for the team. They were actually assisting the team. So I never really felt in the years that I played at Duke that we had a lot of egos interfering with the success we enjoyed, in my judgment. And it was a pleasant experience. And that included not only offensively, but defensively, the help side defense and helping a guy who may have broken down or slipped or fallen and be able to pick his man up while he rotated back to get his man. So I think that because of the quality of the character of the people we had on those teams, they were all good guys, intense, good athletic backgrounds, but most of all, they understood the game of basketball. They understood how to play it and how to play it together. And that's very unusual nowadays. Well, I think that leadership comes from the understanding of everybody else's capabilities and how you fit in assisting them to become better themselves. And each player has their own role to play in making sure they subject their egos to doing the right thing, which is sometimes giving up the ball or setting a screen. And that's leadership. It's leadership by example. But I also think we had leadership somewhat in voice, but not too much, because guys all understood the game. We didn't have to be yelling at each other to make the point about what should be done. We had a great coach who didn't really yell at us. He didn't cuss at us or anything like that. But he would ask the right question to get you motivated. He'd say, Vacendak, your man has 11 points. Can you handle him? Well, you know, that put a little burr under your saddle. And that's the type of thing, and his approach to the game was he would challenge your pride in a positive way. And when you do that to a really talented group of people, you get a wonderful response. They start meshing together. And it works because they know the game and they know each other and they respect each other. Well, in the pros, it's a little bit more difficult to get everyone to play together because they're playing for money. They're playing in a way, they understand that in order for them to survive, they have to score a number of points or whatever. So there's a little bit more individualism and lack of teamwork in the pro game, in my judgment. Now, in business, it's important to carry that forward because a lot of people that you work with in business are not athletes. They don't understand egos and the need to fit in and work together so the team and the business grows itself. And so you work a little harder trying to communicate with people. And it's best done, in my judgment, one-on-one. As a regional manager for Converse Rubber Company, I had 22 representatives from Maine to Florida. And my office was in Boston, so I was on the road traveling all the time. But I was spending time with them individually in the car, going from account to account. And it's amazing how much you can talk about in the privacy of an automobile, just the two of you going from, well, you have your fun times and your jokes and everything like that and laugh. But I think you can get so much done with one-on-one interaction as opposed to dealing with the crowd. I find that very, very effective. And pretty soon, after a while, they begin to understand, especially if I'm in Boston, but they believe that I understand what their challenges are, and they don't want to let me down. They're really thinking like, hey, I'll let Steve down. He left to go back to Boston, but he said that we ought to approach this, or I ought to approach it this way. And I think that there's a lot to be said for that. But the message has to be done in the proper way. It has to be done out of respect and admiration and hope that you're creating in their life that they can achieve and go forward themselves. You have to give them a ladder to aspiration for more success. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Occasionally you have to be rather blunt and And when they force you to, a lot of times a teammate or an employee will force you to say something you don't want to say to them, but you have to make the point, hey, listen, whoa, this is the bottom line. You're at the bottom line. Now let's go forward from this. This is where we are in our conversation. This is where you are in your accomplishments. And I think you have a great future if we can get forward from here. Well, I'll tell you, this is going to sound corny to most people. But I grew up in a really hard type of community. Scranton, Pennsylvania was not very wealthy, but great people. They understood dedication and hard work and everything like that. And people may not believe this, but my greatest satisfaction in athletics was I went into the locker room and took off my sneakers. And the relief that freeing my feet from the tape and the pressure and the swelling, just the satisfaction of my body relaxing and knowing in my heart that I gave it my best. That's the high moment in my career as far as that's concerned. Knowing that each and every day I knew and my teammates knew that, hey, Steve busted his butt today. He was with us all the time. And I think that's true. That made me feel good. Sure, there were some winning moments and shots and disappointments. Losing in an ACC final game is very disappointing. Missing a key shot at the end of a game is disappointing. But nothing rises to the pleasure of taking those sneakers off. And my second really joy in athletics was playing on the road. I love to play on the road because I knew everybody in that arena wanted to beat us. We were the one or two in the nation, and that just turned me on. I just felt so good about that. Playing in Cameron, I expected to win. I mean, it seemed to me easier to win in Cameron. It was just more intense and focused and just more satisfying walking off the court wherever we played, knowing we just whipped their butt and I didn't have to pound my fist or beat my chest or stick my finger up in the air, just walk off the court. And to me, that was a great feeling because the more they play, see, being from Scranton, Pennsylvania, the more they pulled against me, hell, I thought they were pulling for me. That's really what it was. I mean, the louder they yelled, they said, oh, that's great. They're really after my butt. So it made me, I got more focused. I mean, it really was. It was reversed. I didn't want to share that feeling with people. They might have thought I was crazy or something like that. Who thinks that way? But I did. I felt, not only thought that way, I felt that way. So the disappointing thing to me is to play in front of a crowd that was not against me or not pushing me. And so, as I say, playing in Cameron, to me was, we expected to win. I mean, and it was a surprise if we lost. And generally that was true everywhere. And that's the type of environment that I played under, where a loss was a surprise, you know. And sometimes, you know, we got whipped fair and square. I mean, no question about that. I'm not complaining about any of our losses, and for the most part. But I just relish going on the road. I love going into the stadium and hearing people yell at the bus, and screaming, and getting ready to fill that arena up. I loved when we went out for warm-ups and they were screaming and yelling. It just made me feel better. No, we were going to outscore everybody, you're right. And God forbid there wasn't a three-pointer back then, because I don't know what we would have scored. Because with Marin and Verga just firing them up, that was like a free throw for them. But I think my game of basketball, at least I felt about my role in the scheme of things, was not necessarily to score. I could score. But I really took pride in being in the right place at the right time, offensively as well as defensively, getting the ball to the man I thought was in the best position to score. I just didn't want to pass the ball to someone. I wanted to pass it to the guy I thought was in their range, and that was the best shot for the team at that moment. Or setting a screen, or deflecting a pass, or jumping a screen, and doing things that they don't keep stats for. You know, the little things back then especially. You didn't read about the deflected passes or picking up loose balls or loose rebounds. You didn't get any of those credits for any of those things. And those, to me, were big things in a ball game, because remember this, think about how much the basketball is physically in the control of someone's hand. It's always in the air, whether he's dribbling it, shooting it, rebounding it. The ball's in the air, it's free. Go get it. If someone's dribbling the ball around where I was, heck, that's fine, I'm gonna go get it. Or if it was on the floor, golly, go get it, because it's free. I would like to know how much time the basketball is physically controlled, by someone's hand. It's not very much time, not as much as you think, if you think about the game of basketball. So I felt there was an opportunity for me, a player of my talent, maybe not the greatest shooter in the world, maybe not the greatest dribbler or ball handler, but there were so many opportunities to help my team by getting the ball. And I felt comfortable, and I liked doing that. I mean, it was a great joy to deflect the pass, or to make someone pull up and pivot around and hold the basketball, as opposed to penetrating to the basket. I took great pride in taking charges. I think taking a charge was a big part of the game, because not only do you take the charge and get the foul on the man, you get the ball. It's like a turnover plus a penalty. So a charge is a big part of the game. It really is. And the other thing about it is, if you clearly establish a great charge, it makes the fella think about, hey, if I do that again, that Vacendak guy's going to be there taking the charge. So he might change his whole game just a couple of inches or a couple of steps, and that's all accomplished a lot. So now, instead of taking a sharp, direct cut to the basket, he's rounding it off a little bit. And when he starts to round it off a little bit, that's what I wanted to see. Well, it's going to be one of the most. It's going to be the most recent one I've experienced. I watched the Masters. I watched Rory McIlroy tee off, and I watched every shot that was on television. I watched the entire performance, and the ebb and flow of being the leader and then dropping back, or in the tie after just 2 holes, what that would do to you emotionally and confidence-wise was right in my alley. I wanted to see the rest of this. I didn't get up from my chair. I had a cooler by my seat, because I didn't want to leave and go to the refrigerator. And one of the great shots in my mind, and great gutsy performances, was the first playoff hole after he had lost the lead, and now he has to go back out again, and here's all this pressure on him to get this great honor of winning Grand Slam, and here we go again. He's lost big leads before. It's going to happen to him. This guy can't finish, and I was so much in his corner. And on the first playoff hole, both of them hit good drives. And then the fellow that he was playing against was Rose, hits a great second shot. I mean, like 8 or 9 feet. Now, Rory is faced with really being eliminated, and he hits a shot within 4 feet inside of him. To me, with all the pressure, all the ups and downs of that afternoon, for 4.5 hours of competition, was unbelievable, just unbelievable. And I was right there with him. When he finally made that putt, I was tired, because emotionally he beat me up, because I was pulling so hard for him. But to me, that was one of the greatest sports events that I ever watched, as far as emotion and accomplishment.